Hey guys, it's Chris at Highland Guitars. You're watching another one of my YouTube guitar building videos. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope that by the end of this video, I'll have earned the honor and privilege of your subscription. In today's video, I'm going to cover part 12 of my 3D printed guitar building project. And I'm hoping this is the last episode in this series because basically the guitar is finished and I'm ready to move on to some other projects that I think are going to be really exciting. Now what I will do in this video is I'm going to tune up the strings, do some test playing, install the truss rod cover, and I'm going to invite you along to watch as I do this work. And then at the end of the video, what I'd like to do is talk about some of the things that I learned while building this guitar. I'm going to share with you some of the mistakes I made. But more importantly, I want to tell you about some of the things that I might do with respect to the design should I decide to offer this guitar or the STL files so that you could build a guitar yourself. So sit back, relax, and let's jump in and get started. Okay, so I think the $64,000 question that everyone wants to know is, does this guitar actually work? Basically, no, it doesn't. Now, as I demonstrated a moment ago when I was pressing on the headstock, it's very floppy. And I kind of suspected that might be an issue. So what I've decided I would do is I need to revisit some of the design factors in this guitar build to try to improve its performance. And I think there are some simple things that I can do that will allow that to happen. But before I get into that, I wanted to talk about some of the mistakes I made in this build. Being that this was a 3D model project, there were a couple of things that I forgot to do while I was setting up the design files for this. And these were just simple little things that I forgot. And one of them is I forgot to make provisions to attach strap buttons. Now I could easily drill holes and use the wood screws that commonly are used with the strap buttons. However, it wouldn't be strong enough because this inside of this guitar is hollow. It has a grid pattern of infill to strengthen it. But if I were to drill into it, I'd be drilling into a void, and it just wouldn't be strong enough to hold a strap button, at least not strong enough for me to trust it to hold the strap without eventually tearing out. So I would need to incorporate some kind of provision for attaching the strap buttons. Hey guys, if you're enjoying this video or any of the videos that I produce on my Highline Guitars YouTube channel, I would appreciate it if you might consider helping to support my channel. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can click the subscribe button down below. You can also click the join or the subscribe plus button. And when you do that, you can become a member of the channel. And when you're a member, you're going to have access to my members only videos, which are versions of all the videos that I make that contain a lot more information and detail than what I normally include in the videos that the general public gets to watch. Also, you can visit my eGuitar Plans website or my Highline Guitars merch store, and any purchase you make there is going to help support the channel so I can keep making these videos and sharing my knowledge and experience with you. And then, of course, if you want to keep it simple, you can click the thanks button down below and leave a small tip in the amount that you think is fair. And of course, at the very least, if you'd like to help support this channel and not spend any money at all, please consider clicking that thumbs up button down below. Now let's get back to the video. The other thing I forgot to do was the hole for the jack. Completely forgot to include that in the model, so I had to drill it. And that's not the best way to do it. I really need to incorporate a hole specifically for the jack, but no big deal. Now, there were a couple of other issues that I encountered while I was building this guitar that would require me to maybe rethink some of the design. And I plan to do that in the coming weeks. I'm going to take a look at my 3D models and make some revisions to those models and then create some new STL files. And I'll do that before I would consider selling the STL files on my eGuitar Plans site or my Highline Guitars merch store. I've even thought about posting it up on like Thingiverse and a couple of the other 3D model sites where you can purchase or download STL files and print them yourself. But one of the issues that I would address has to do with the design of these upper and lower cutaways. Where the cutaway meets the neck, it's too thin. I need to beef that up. So that means reshaping this a little bit, because when I installed the neck, it cracked the body right where the cutaway meets the neck. That's something you see commonly on like Fender Stratocasters, especially after they've been played on for 30, 40 years, they start to develop that little crack there. Well, this happened right when I installed the neck. So that's got to be addressed, and I've got to redo that. The other thing is I might consider getting rid of the bolt-in neck feature and just go with a set-in neck. But I really haven't decided. In fact, I may offer it as an option to do a set-in neck rather than the bolt-in. And the reason for that is because I came up with the bolt-in approach because I thought if this neck doesn't work, I could always make a neck just like it on my CNC machine, carving it out of maple, and then install that instead. But you know, I really wanted to keep this entire guitar, or as much of it as I could, 3D printed. So I don't think it's necessary to do the bolt-in, and a bolt-in requires more work. You've got to install threaded inserts inside of the neck, and then you have to make sure that your machine screws line up with those threaded inserts. And I think it would just be easier to slop a little bit of epoxy inside the pocket and slide the neck in. And that might help eliminate that risk of cracking the body where the cutaway meets the neck. So I haven't really thought that through entirely yet, so that remains to be seen what'll happen. Now, as far as the neck is concerned, what I found interesting was that from the heel to the nut, the neck is pretty stable. It could actually be a little bit more stable. And I think what I would do, and what I plan to do, is to take another look at the carbon fiber inserts that I've installed in this neck. And I'm going to look and see if there's some options. I have thought about using 4 carbon fiber reinforcement strips instead of just 2. And I'm also looking at different dimensioned inserts just to increase the stability a little bit more. And then with the headstock is not reinforced at all, and it needs it desperately. So I think what I would do is I would insert a couple of carbon fiber reinforcement strips the entire length of the headstock. And then I might even have a carbon fiber plate laminated to the top surface. And I think all of that would help to strengthen and reinforce the headstock so that it doesn't flex so easily under string tension. In fact, when I was tuning this guitar, I noticed that even when I would grab onto the tuners and adjust the knobs, that pressure I was applying caused that headstock to flex. And it was a bit of a challenge to get the strings in tune. And once they were in tune, it was okay. But, you know, any sort of pressure on that headstock throws the guitar out of tune. So I need to take a look at ways that I could improve the stiffness by reinforcing the headstock. Now, I wanted to do a simple demonstration to show you the stability of the neck and its strength and ability to resist string tension. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place one hand here on the back of the body to support the body. Then I'll place a finger up on the nut. And then what I want you to do is to watch what happens with the strings as I press down on the nut. See, you can see that the strings are pulled down closer to the frets as I press down on the nut. And then as I release the nut, the strings come back up. Press down, they get closer, release, they get higher. But now let me show you what happens when I do this with a traditional wood guitar. Here I have a Stratocaster, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'll put a hand on the body, a finger on the nut, and then watch what the strings do as I press down. It does the same thing. Now, admittedly, it takes a bit more force to lower those strings by pressing on the nut, but it's doing essentially the same thing. So I think that with proper reinforcement, the 3D neck will be every bit as strong, and if it's done correctly, or most effectively, it might even prove to be stronger and more stable than a wood neck. So overall, I think this was a fun project, and I learned a lot while doing it. And it's definitely, I think, something I would consider doing again in the future. And I've noticed that there are a lot of other guys who make 3D printed guitars here on YouTube. And there are some pretty interesting guitar builds. And that's because 3D printing opens up a whole new world of possibilities when it comes to being creative. So that's something I definitely want to explore. And I will absolutely use 3D printing even on my more traditional builds because it offers, like I said, some opportunities that I wasn't able to enjoy in the past. So that's something I will definitely keep in mind as I do my other builds. But I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please consider giving it a thumbs up. And as always, you can visit eGuitarPlans.com, a Highline Guitars merch store, or click the thanks button and leave a tip in the amount that you think is fair. And know that whatever you spend is going to help support this channel so I can keep making these videos and sharing my knowledge and experience with you. So as always, take care, stay safe, and I hope you'll be back for more guitar building videos, especially as I prepare to embark on yet another guitar building project.